Ladies and gentlemen, this is China's new H-20 stealth bomber is worse than you think. This is by the channel Task and Purpose. They have a stealth bomber. Apparently, this is like B2 stealth bomber. It looks like it from the thumbnail. Yeah, worse than you think. So I guess it's not good. Is that what the point is? Because I remember B2 bomber, B2 stealth bomber, right? That's like key there. Stealth was the whole thing of it, right? I'm pretty sure it has like a ridiculous range. I don't know the exact number. I don't think I've watched a video on B2 bomber, but yeah. I don't know how it's costly, but I don't know how costly it is. Some million or something. I don't know. Yeah, but so B2 bomber is just crazy. It's been decades since it's been out. Multiple decades, and I guess China has something equal to that. Yeah, that's how ahead US is usually with the equipment. So it's gonna be interesting. Let's watch it. Remember, we will flag my X and subscribe. That way, you will help the channel by helping the algorithm and things. And that way, I know which type of videos to react to more. I like reacting to this kind of equipment type of videos, jet planes, tanks, and things like this. So yeah, let's watch it.
China recently confirmed their Xi'an H-20, their first ever long-range strategic stealth bomber. The new aircraft threatens to change the balance of power in the world because currently the United States is the only nation to operate an expensive strategic stealth bomber fleet like the B-2. China's military even revealed a video showing an H-20 prototype in what's called a flush air data sensing wind tunnel test. You guys, I don't think Xi Jinping is going to be happy with this. What is this, a stealth bomber for ants? FADS, or FADS, is used to gather data, collect speed and angle of attack information, but others believe this is just a distraction to keep the H-20's final real configuration secret. This new Chinese stealth bomber is the type of aircraft that's sent to destroy an entire enemy airfield or soften up defenses for an invasion. The H-20 would have major ramifications for a possible invasion of Taiwan if it's able to evade their air defense systems. Wait a second, how did China get this technology in the first place? In 2014, in a highly publicized cyber attack by Chinese-backed groups based in Canada, over 630,000 documents were stolen from US companies like Lockheed Martin and Boeing. Those documents notably included several blueprints on the F-20.
See, this is one thing I don't understand. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, mostly Lockheed Martin, obviously is like really ahead of everybody, right? That's like decades ahead. That's where the US is decade of everybody. Why? Because of Lockheed, basically. And they can basically keep their software and computers safe. Like people can just hack into it. Like China can't even come up with something like a B2 bomber today with all the money and things, right? China is like what, second most spender after US, right? China is slowly creeping into US with the economy. It's like a second power right now in that way, right? And they can make a B2 stealth bomber even today. They have to steal things. And if you're that ahead, how is your like computers and things are not more secure? They just basically, look at the F-35. They stole documents of F-35. So telling me there's like F-35 type of plane that China's gonna make, that shit is insane.
And F-35 programs, which assisted in augmenting the stealth capabilities of upgraded J-20s. Soon after 2016, the People's Liberation Army Air Force Commander General Ma Shoshan publicly announced that China was developing a new generation of long-range bomber that would see first production within the next decade. He explained that the aircraft would contain many of the fifth-generation aircraft stealth technologies found on the J-20, a range of at least 8,500 kilometers, a 10 metric ton payload capacity, and an ability to deploy both conventional and nuclear munitions, though some reports show that the payload capacity could be as high as 45 tons in different configurations. Listen guys, I'm gonna be honest, I really like what I see here, but I don't think we've reached perfection yet. Is there any way we can make it look even more like a ripoff of the American B-2 bomber? It's speculated this same year that the Chinese firm
easy to rip off, because if you want to make a stealth bomber and it always turns out like this, it's like that there is like the shape that has to be if you want to do something, right? It's like all the other jets kind of look similar, so they're all rip off of each other. No, that's like you have to shape something like that aerodynamically if you want to make work. There's a reason why B-2 bomber looks like this, right? In order to, deflect the radar, right? It has to be this kind of a big way, right? This kind of wings and everything. And B-2 bomber is so complicatedly engineered. Obviously, I don't know much about it. I've never watched a video. I still have to watch a video about it. But yeah, I think it's like so complicated. I don't know how much it's cost, but it's just like multi-million or something more than that. I don't know. But it's so costly in that way that every single thing is like really good. I still remember playing that game, Rise of Nations, where you basically go from like a Bronze Age, Iron Age or whatever all the way to Modern Age. And Modern Age sucks. Because as soon as they fucking have these B-2 bombers, that's it. Like your anti-aircraft things does nothing. It just comes and destroy all your monuments and shit. So B-2 bombers are just basically OP as fuck.
Even
Even video games
Industrial
recognize that.
Corporation partnered with the 603 Aircraft Design Institute and began drawing up plans for a future long-range strategic stealth bomber. China has been hinting at this aircraft since the early 2000s with cryptic talk about an aircraft representing strategic historical significance.
Why are they launching it like they're launching new iPhone or something? This is like a military thing. Why are you showing commercially this? Oh, we are launching. Did you did the same thing with the B-2 bomber? Or we are launching B-2 bomber? Nobody even knew it, right? And they just released the press conference, whatever, like brief the press or something, like, oh, we have this bomber. Before that, people were thinking that's an alien ship or something. Why do you launch it like that? It's not a commercial.
Significance, slick recruiting videos, and some super cool office desk accessories, just to name a few. Prototype toy models sound like fun and games until you realize the world's top aircraft experts closely follow and study footage of these models for hints to the H-20's capabilities and mission set. Andreas Ruprecht is a Chinese military aviation expert who was one of the first to share these images on Twitter. He said, quote, "We have for some time had several hints, including in academic papers, that some sort of foldable fins might be incorporated. I joke about the H-20 being a knockoff of the American B-2 bomber, but there is evidence that these models suggest it will end up having a unique design and look. Many of you will also..."
I'm not gonna lie, B-2 bomber is multiple decade old, and yes, we like to think like, how do they get this technology? Like nobody, but science doesn't see regions, right? It's not like, how did they get this technology? Somebody else can develop the technology, it just takes a long time. So they stole the documents, and now what if they make it better than the B-2 bomber? That would be like panicky situation. Like, holy shit, is better than that because it's like decades late. Maybe that doesn't how it works, right? I mean, it's like you can't just make something like an iOS and an Android type of system today and just be equal with that. You need those experience, years of experience. So maybe, Lockheed's years of experience of making badass planes and things. You can't just make something similar to that, maybe. But then again, China, I mean, you never know.
Also likely notice the similarity to some of Russian and Chinese recent drone designs. Now, the PLA has a long history of copying military hardware, from small arms to tanks. If they can get their hands on a new set of blueprints, there's a good chance that they're going to try to make a version of it. And they certainly aren't shy about it either, with 160 US citizens having been arrested since 2000 on espionage charges for selling classified information to China. And thanks to them, service members everywhere get to take super exciting online training courses to prevent insider threats like these. To be fair,
did they ever put into like a jail forever, like end of times or something? Because US must treat traitors really badly, right? That's just like, okay, jail for life or something, or back to Guantanamo or whatever.
The United States also does everything they can to steal or copy foreign military equipment that they like. Copying is the greatest form of flattery, even when it's really, really illegal. But China's military doesn't need to entirely
I don't know, possible, but still, I don't want to take a jab at China, but that's what I usually do. It's just like, that's Chinese motto basically, right? It's like copyright is a suggestion. Even back like 2008, before China being powerhouse was a thing, and on the Chinese streets you can just see basically motorbikes and rickshaws type of things rather than proper Mercedes like four-wheelers. Even then, it's just like you can find all the knockoffs, Rolls-Royce knockoffs, right? Rolex watch knockoffs and all that. I still remember in 2006 or something when Nokias and things were like 2005, 2006, when Nokia phones were like really big thing, because smartphone wasn't a thing yet. And people still used to buy really cheap knockoff type of Chinese phone, which had multiple speakers and was just louder. So people were just buying it. It was just ridiculous.
Rely on stealing information. They can go picking through our garbage also. There were rumors and reports flying around in the late 1990s that China had gotten a hold of a crashed American stealth F-117 Nighthawk that was shot down in Yugoslavia. Could Chinese engineers have reverse engineered our radar avoiding technology? Yeah, probably, especially when they have one of our guys helping them piece the puzzle together. In 2005, Noshir Gawadi was arrested for selling classified stealth technology to China. He was the chief designer of the American B-2 stealth bomber and an engineer with Northrop, who, in his own words, was the father of the technology that protects the B-2 stealth bomber.
That guy's a father of this technology and he just like sold out to China. What is happening? This is like every time you see those like a espionage type of fucking TV shows and movies, it's like this is exaggerated shit. Apparently not. Apparently when you have some information that can make you really rich, you will sell out apparently. Look at that.
From heat-seeking missiles. He's serving a 32-year prison sentence now. That's what happens when you break the Arms Export Control Act. Focusing on its nuclear capability for a bit, there's a strategic concept called the nuclear triad, which in short means a nation is capable of launching nuclear weapons from land-based silos, ocean-based submarines, and now for China, long-range strategic stealth bombers. Once a nation achieves this nuclear triad, it's essentially impossible to prevent their nuclear capability. You can strike against all stationary land-based silos, maybe get lucky with intercepting the submarine missiles, but you aren't going to manage to take down all of their stealth bombers before they reach their target.
I mean, that's not what nuclear triad was for. I get it with the way he's saying it, but that's like nuclear triad usually emphasize on submarines rather than anything else. Because you always have a plane that could drop a bomb. Obviously, that's not going to be stealth. It can be shot down, but you can just send multiple planes with nukes and things. I don't know. Just coordinate things. That's what happened in the back in the day when stealth plane wasn't that. So nuclear triad, the saying like they have the nuclear triad, usually meant the nuclear submarines. Because you have a plane, right? You have a land silo. That's just common. It wasn't for the stealth bomber. But yeah, stealth bombers, solidifies that. Like you have something that can just comes anywhere on the planet, 8,000 kilometers, so anywhere on the planet can just drop the bomb and go away and nobody knows anything, right? So that also makes things worse. Obviously nuclear submarines, proper ones, makes things even more worse, right? Because they are just basically like underground cities walking around, constantly just fueled by nuclear reactors. That's just completely different. But yeah, planes also make things even more worse.
Think of it as Xi Jinping getting the last Infinity Stone, except instead of only smoking half of us, it takes out all of us in a global thermonuclear war. The nuclear triad achieved by air is accomplished not only by its stealth capabilities, but the H-20 aircraft's estimated range of 8,500 kilometers or 5,280 miles without the need for mid-air refueling. For reference, this would allow the H-20 to
Wait a minute, that's not... I thought 8,000 would be much longer. That's 8,000? Is it? Damn, that's a very short area. I mean, I don't know then, man. Okay, 8,000 kilometers from anywhere here. Okay, India's fucked. Some of the, southeastern Asian countries are kind of fucked. But what else? Like Europe is, Europe, US, none of them are threatened. This is why submarines are more deadly, right? 8,000, no, that's not that much. What is the range of B-2 bomber then?
Miles without the need for mid-air refueling. For reference, this would allow the H-20 to stealthily strike any land targets in Europe, Japan, Korea, the Philippines, and the US territory in Guam or Second Island chain. An updated report from the DoD claims estimates now put the range at 10,000 kilometers or 6,200 miles. While it's still short of the over 6,700 mile range of the current B-2 bomber, China still has some tricks up its sleeve that they could use in effect to extend the range not only to Hawaii, which holds major US Army and naval bases,
6,700 miles or more than 10,000 kilometers, that's a big one.
But even the west coast of the United States. So what do we know about this secretive H-20 stealth bomber's new weapon systems? Where can we make some good educated guesses? And is this something that the American DoD needs to be worried about? Or is it just another cheap knockoff that you could buy on Wish.com? But before we get into that, learning is a lifelong pursuit, whether you're looking to segue into a new career or advance your...
I like how Wish.com replaced Alibaba, right? Alibaba was never bad, but it was like one of those things, right, where you can find something that might be cheap and people are like, oh, from the Alibaba. Now it's just like Wish is even more worse. I bet Wish is like somewhere in California, right? US company.
Your skills to become more attractive in the job market. National University was founded by a military veteran in 1971 with the understanding that you live a busy life and they do everything to help accomplish.
Yeah, we'll go to original video page link and from there support this channel. Yeah. National University.
Wow. But what kind of weapon and munitions would this stealth bomber drop if its stealthiness is truly...
Hold up there, I didn't see that email. What the fuck are those? Oh, okay, missiles and things. All right. Okay, the bombers are really big. Look at that. I mean, I knew the bombers were big, all like even the old ones, right? Old bombers and everything. But yeah, stealth bombers are even bigger apparently.
What kind of weapon and munitions would this stealth bomber drop if its stealthiness is truly able to match the American aircraft? It would drop a copycat of the same bomb that the American stealth bombers use, of course, a JDAM copycat. China created the FT-PGB in 2006, which is a family of Chinese-built precision-guided munitions created at the China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology. They range from 100 kilograms to 500 kilograms. The F-12 variant has a rocket booster that can be attached to extend its range to 150 kilometers, providing a release velocity of 600 to 1,000 kilometers per hour.
This footage is not JDM extended. Yeah, I saw the Boeing logo there, so I understood that.
So what is the China Academy of Launch
Otherwise,
Vehicle
Boeing
Technology?
is
I'm glad you
ballistic.
hypothetically asked because I had no idea as well. It's a major state-owned civilian and military space launch vehicle manufacturer in China. CALT, as it's abbreviated, has over 30,000 employees and at least 13 research facilities. In November
30,000 employees. Is that a lot? How much employees does Apple have? I'm pretty sure I remember like. Okay, I don't know. I think Hawaii. I don't know. Hawaii. I can't even pronounce that. That Chinese mobile company. What's that? It says like 10,000 people, aren't there? Like, is that 30,000 a lot for a military thing? I don't know.
November
How
2020.
much Lockheed has it?
U.S. President Donald Trump issued an executive order prohibiting U.S. companies and individuals owning shares in CALT that the U.S. Department of Defense has listed as having links to the People's Liberation Army. CALT are also the ones sending Chinese satellites into space, which is a huge part of the H-20 stealth bombers puzzle, because a lot of people forget the stealth bomber is
Trump did that? That's something. Didn't see that coming. Okay. You don't hear about Trump being competent a lot, but there you go. That's like, okay, I know 2-3 accounts of it is like really critical, which he passed. So yeah, that's something.
only as good as the military satellite network supporting it, and China's trying to play catch up there. Damn it, I'm an infantryman, not a scientist. The FT-PGB munitions use a variety of satellite guidance to track their target. It uses
I know that's a joke, but seriously, I see future infantrymen being more of a scientist than anything because of the robotics and shit. Imagine that, just like, who's that show, right? Where they just fight robots or whatever, wearing this kind of a glasses type of thing. Just imagine infantrymen being their glasses, just controlling robots and things.
uses the Western GPS and Russian GLONASS, as well as the Chinese Baidu navigation system, which is like their version of GPS. Because so much of the H-20 is still under wraps and no one has leaked its information on video games forums quite yet, we'll need to look at how the United States uses its own flying wing stealth bombers to get an idea of how the new H-20 would be used. There are three primary ways for a bomber to extend its range in order to hit a target, which are mid-air refueling, changing its launching location, and using self-propelled munitions. You can have the stealthiest aircraft in the world hiding from any sensor you throw at it, but that refueling tanker is going to glow on a radar screen brighter than a Christmas tree in July. A second method of extending the bomber's range is the use of forward operating locations, or FOLs. These are generally smaller military bases either in distant national territories or in friendly partnered nations that allow a military to extend their ability to quickly deploy forces globally. Currently, China is developing its capacity for both, with the buildup of Chinese airstrips in the South China Sea and their usage of the Belt and Road Initiative, where through economic aid in foreign nations, they're constructing airstrips and facilities that can be used if needed for military purposes. China currently has 4 operational nuclear-capable cruise missiles that would be able to be loaded into an internal rotary launcher.
That's first time I heard of the Belt and Road Initiative or Silk Road type of shit. That's the first thing I thought of. Like, people really don't realize the need of a road, right? I mean, the whole thing of Autobahn is not that, oh, look at what an awesome highway we can travel. No, it's like so can tanks and things can roll from there, right? Same thing with the US interstate system. Your president, who was that guy? I forgot his name. Yeah, who basically went to Germany, just like, oh, look at that, look at the Autobahn. So how awesome it is. I want something like that. And there you go, your interstate system. That are so well, and it's like it has a code to it. Like, when I first realized it, I was surprised. Like, you won't see billboards around the road. You will see it, but you won't see it like very close to the road because there's like a code, like how wide a gap should be. So a plane can land, a jet plane basically be to bomber things like that on the interstate if need be. tanks can go from there and road won't be destroyed. That's the thing. You hear about all these like dams breaking in USA, like a dam broke in USA. Yeah, that's not going to be over interstate. That's for damn sure. That's a different court, different agency handling that, mostly military wise. So interstates are just ridiculous, just like autobahn is. So I thought this is going to be something similar to that. Like, okay, oh, look at that. We are doing all the business and part. Just business going to boom because of this. And maybe just like how Hitler did in World War II, they can just roll this tank. Surprising. Surprise, we're here. War has begun. Something like that could happen as well.
Unit. Specifically, in this case, is the HN-2 and HN-3 subsonic low observable cruise missiles, which can have a range between 1,400 and 3,000 kilometers. And this strategy would allow the H-2 to leverage the other two methods of extending their range much more effectively. Because a cruise missile doesn't have to make a return trip, it effectively adds twice its own range to the range of the aircraft. For example, if an H-20 launches an HN-3 missile with a range of 3,000 kilometers, it shaves 6,000 total kilometers off.
And then what? Drop? Oh, the bomber is out of fuel. Throw it in the Pacific.
The flight. Not only would this allow the H-20 to hit targets further inland of the continental United States, but it would also allow it to refuel or launch from less conspicuous locations, overall making it much harder to detect or analyze its purpose.
That is true.
This possibility is supported by the report.
Again, I don't want to pause too much, even though that's what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure US says certain things in Pacific. Sense certain things I've heard of in the ocean, basically. Where any activity, explosion, things like that can be. US is really anal. People really need to understand like how US Army works. People constantly tell me in the comment like, stop, this US. I'm not American, man. Why would I be amping up America? It is. I've read of these things and it is true, right? It is all the things that they put in Pacific because how Pacific is a blind spot. And it is. When you see the globe, there is a literal, like you can see it at an angle. You won't see any land. You just see sea and only water. That's Pacific. That's how big a Pacific is, right? And that's such a blind spot. Something like this can happen. Nobody can detect it, right? Something could happen right now in Pacific and nobody knows about. So that's why, they put some sensor shit where there's any kind of military thing happens, explosions, any kind of thing, sensors can pick it up. So I don't know. Maybe China would have to work around that. But yeah, maybe.
That the H-20 will contain an active electronically scanned array radar using antenna to conform to the body of the aircraft and would be used to guide munitions like cruise missiles onto the target. But the billion-dollar question about the H-20 is whether or not Taiwan's anti-air systems like the Patriot could detect it. While the PLA didn't respond to my emails asking exactly how stealthy this plane is, we can make a pretty good guess by looking at how its physical design affects radar return and the stealth capabilities of its cousin, the J-20. We can get a rough idea based on some known stealth factors of both American and Chinese aircraft.
What the fuck, man? What? Kind of looks like F-35, isn't it?
We can get a rough idea based on some known stealth factors of both American and Chinese aircraft. Before we start analyzing the combined stealth capabilities, it's important to remember that not only are calculated capabilities closely guarded secrets, but also incredibly hard to determine, and can vary from any number of things like types of detection systems, angle of detection, speed of aircraft, weather, and all that stuff. Just understand that when internet analysts like myself talk numbers behind stealth detection, it's important to take it with a grain of salt. First, we'll look at China's other stealth aircraft, the J-20. While it has a relatively small radar cross-section, or how large it appears on radar, it's estimated to be anywhere between half a square meter to 3 square meters. Compare this to the American equivalent F-22 and F-35, which boast a .0001 and 0015 square meter cross-section respectively.
For God's sake. I saw the F-22 video. It's like insane how insane that plane is. Can't even be detected on radar. Yeah, fuck you, there you go. F-35 is the same way, huh? That's where the stealth thing comes from. That looks really small on the radar, huh? For some reason, B2 doesn't have the same thing. B2 doesn't catch up on the radar because radar can't detect it. It deflects it. It's just made in a way that when it hits, right, radar hits and rather than coming back, it just disperses. So you can't have some detection there even if you tried. I guess there are some technologies that they could basically like if 100% of information doesn't come back, that might as well be B2 bomber. You can't have something like that. I don't know. But all of that is really hard to do. So that's what B2 does. But all these other jets is like really small. Like, well, what the fuck is that? Oh, it's a bird. But like, Federer said, board that it's traveling really fast.
B-2, despite its large size, has the exact same RCS as the F-22 because of its flying wing design. For reference, this means that the B-2 with its 172 wingspan to a radar is the same size of a B. With those numbers in mind, we can roughly estimate that the H-20's radar cross-section to be on the lower end of the J-20 statistics, which could possibly allow it to pass through long-range early detection radars, but not higher band air defense radars. From all of this, we can determine that it's not likely the...
Look, man, if that's the case, stealth what? What the fuck is stealth, right? Like he said, like, okay, you can pass the first detection, sure. But the whole thing of stealth is just like, can't be detected on radar. It's like a B type of thing. A B would have a same type of a dot on the radar. That's how these planes have, like B-2 bomber things. If this can't have it, like, what was the stealth about?
The H-20 is going to be anywhere on par with the American B-21, and likely is not even on par with the B-2 Spirit in terms of range, stealth, or capabilities. But does that mean we shouldn't worry about it? Like most military equipment, it's only as useful as how smart you are using it. When asked what makes the American B-2 program so successful, Lieutenant Colonel Christopher Conant, the 393rd Expeditionary Bomb Squadron commander in charge of all B-2 Spirit platforms, said, quote, "In the B-2 community, we see mission planning is our primary tactic, and our quality of mission planning is what sets us apart. Meaning regardless of how good your plane is, how you use it is more important. The entire purpose behind the flying wing design is to reduce its signature both on high-frequency, short-range radar systems and also low-frequency, long-range, early warning radars. This is a critical point of stealth tech because these aircraft are required to fly well within the range of enemy sensors in order to conduct their mission set, ideally without relying on escort fighter aircraft. Now, stealth technology essentially works not by trying to make the aircraft invisible both literally and figuratively, but through a combination of smooth geometry, reduced heat signature, and radar disruptive coding. With this, an aircraft can basically trick a radar system into thinking it's much smaller than it actually is. By doing this, it either makes its signature so small that the radar can't detect it, or at the very least small enough.
Really, man, that's all the B-2 does? So I remember hearing about how people say like either it has a paint, the way he's just said it, like the painted thing, or something in it that deflects it. The radar signal just doesn't come back. If it doesn't come back, it won't detect anything on the radar, right? Isn't that the thing of B-2? I need to watch a B-2 video.
Where it could be confused for any number of things like a bird, a bug, or a balloon. It achieves this through a number of design features, such as its four engines that are buried into overall shape of the fuselage, lack of visible vertical stabilizers during flight, even things like ensuring the screws on the fuselage are flush with the frame helps it achieve the level of stealth required to be used effectively. A state-run Chinese publication called Modern Weaponry, a monthly magazine run by the Chinese weapons manufacturer Norinco, published a 3D rendering of what they claim to be the new H-20 aircraft. But these are strangely dismissed by another state-owned publication, the political tabloid Global Times, claiming that these images were fake news. Hey, now they're stealing our slang, not just our blueprints? Funny enough, some of the best ideas we have.
Nah, man, it's not yours. Don't just monetize. It's Donald Trump's. Let's focus on that shit. It's Trump. Trump is like, I don't care how much you hate Trump, and I'm not a fan of Trump. Right? I'm a very scientifically literate guy. Anybody realize that he's not gonna be a Trump fan? I'm not a Trump fan, but some of the thing he does is like iconic. The fake news existed before Trump, but it wasn't at the level that it is right now. Nothing on the planet doesn't use the word fake news now because Trump fucking started it. Trump is insane, man. If Trump comes back this time, and there's a chance he might. It depends. Like, it's, you can't really know what people are feeling, right? And I don't know what people's feeling are with the Biden and Biden's age and the war. Who knows? Whatever. But yeah, he could come back and he could basically make shit up more, like something like fake news that might become even more immortalized.
As to what the final H-20 will look like, come in the form of a desk decoration, gifted to two Chinese pilots during a state-sponsored flag ceremony in August of 2022. The displays prominently show two very distinct vertical stabilizers. This falls in line with other reports that the H-20 will include a set of stabilizers that can be retracted back into the fuselage and extended when the pilot needs more maneuverability. And these models look near identical to the ones published in the original magazine. This is more evident when you consider that it would be incredibly effective in a campaign closer to the Chinese mainland, such as Taiwan or Japan in the South China Sea. In July 2022, Chinese state media suggested the H-20 was close to within taking its maiden flight and could be operational in a few short years. While there's still a lot we don't know and we won't know for a while, we're starting to see how the H-20 is taking shape, and it will definitely be a development to follow as we get closer.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. As an Indian, I hate this. I know we don't have some shit like this because we can't. Apart from Americans, nobody had this shit. And Chinese are getting like, that's just like sweating. It's just like, I don't like this. I always watch this video and just joke about dunking on China, but it's like dunking on India now, basically. It's just like, oh, come on, man. Yeah, I'm just scared noises. I hope H-20 sucks for India's sake, because I don't know what to think of that. Like, if war breaks in, H-20 would be a problem. But then again, I'm pretty sure like people have like really warped reality of things. If China suddenly starts to think of becoming an aggressor and attacks India point blank and try to invade it, I'm pretty sure US would be like, no, you can't do that, and just send B-2 bombers. Through the India side, whether India is a friend or not. It's like enemy of enemy, at least friend type of thing, right? Just because they don't want China to be more powerful and aggressive, US would send B-2. So I'm not that scared, but still, like, you can never know. Yeah, India needs to do something. I don't know. I mean, I don't think we're going to develop something like B-2 because of the brain drain or whatever. All the great minds of India usually leaves for America or something. But yeah, slowly that's changing. I don't know. More innovative people are staying. Look at the ISRO and things like that. I don't know. Well, there was China's new H-2 stealth bomber. It's worse than you think. This was on task and purpose. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. If you want me to react to more something like this, yeah, comment down. If I got something wrong or anything, definitely comment. I love doing videos like this. I suddenly started doing this a week ago because of electrician. I realized, oh, look at this, there's so many things I didn't know. I was like, okay, I know of a bit, I know of this, and then really thought about it. Wait a minute, I don't know shit about any of this. It's just like I don't like that. My standard for general knowledge was really low for this, and I'm like, nah, I had to know something about this. So there you go. I'm pretty sure there's like a fat iteration video on B-2 bomber, which I'm gonna check out, I think. And that is like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna release another video today after this from Real Engineering about F-35B, which is interesting. So yeah. Okay, I'll see you next time.